Hello and welcome back to Hyperplay. The R36S emulation console has come a long way since it was first released in 2023. Not only can you get it in these snazzy new colour variants, we're particularly taken with the blue models now we come to look at them, but recently we plumped for the orange, and taking it out of the box, we noticed that in contrast to our original model from 2023, this one didn't smell toxic. And it didn't feel like it was going to rot your hands off after a few seconds because of the horrible sticky plastic. It was actually nice to hold. And the buttons felt good too. The D-pad's still a bit firm, but that was fine. Also, it came with a Panel 4 screen. Now don't get us wrong, the original R36S's screen was absolutely superb, but the Panel 4 screens do display colours more vividly and more accurately. But the real reason why the R36S is better than it's ever been is because of what we were greeted with on FireUp, ArkOS 2.0, and this is the 9th of February 2025 build of ArkOS. We couldn't believe we got such a new one. And this purported to be confirmed by the main menu screen, and we've done subsequent tests confirming that this is indeed a genuine R36S running ArkOS 2.0 with a build from February 2025. So what you may say, the newer ArkOSs tend to give a big performance boost to the games on the R36S. In fact, we did many a video back in the day about upgrading your ArkOS operating system to a new model and the benefits that it can bring. A quick way to check whether the operating system is running well for 16-bit games is to listen in to the beginning of Final Fantasy III. If there are audio stutters or it jars, then you know you've got a dodgy build, but if it sounds good, you're golden, so let's listen in. Pitch perfect, and it looked fabulous too. I'm sure you'll agree. Moving on, and the Big N will be absolutely delighted we're featuring this, but Yoshi's Island is one of the, if not the hardest game to run on the Super Nintendo. So let's see if the R36S in 2025, featuring a swanky new build of ArkOS, has the chipset chops to pull off perfect performance of Super Mario World 2 Yoshi's Island. Initial signs very encouraging. The colours looked bright and vibrant. We had to tone them down, in fact, for our footage. So rest assured that the R36S colours do look even better in reality compared to what you're seeing on the screen. Okay, so here we go. Yoshi is in amongst them. And chose this level because you've got the chain chomps flying out from left field using all that mode 7 wizardry, and there's quite a lot going on, but oh dear, our hero's gone straight down the first hole. Let's try again. If the idiot in control of poor Yoshi and Baby Mario can actually get a bit further into the stage, we'll see whether the R36S can cope with a lot of action, screen shuddering action in fact. Our hero's doing okay so far, popping out some eggs out of his ass and collecting those coins, but here come the chomps. One's been navigated, and you think Yoshi's starting to get a bit nervous now. The screens are shuddering, but no slowdown whatsoever. Everything being perfectly rendered by the February 2025 ArkOS operating system. Oh dear, there he goes again. Alright, well let's just leave it there and let's have a listen in down in the caves, because this actually sounds pretty good and the colours are superb here too. Probably one of the worst noises in gaming history, that one, when Baby Mario gets lost off Yoshi's back. Oh, what a shot. But suffice to say, the sound effects feel loud, crisp and chunky in the best way, and looks great. Yep, Yoshi's Island, a winner on the R36S in 2025. Moving on up the console generations, and the next game, PS1 RPG, was actually picked by one of our viewers who asked whether the R36S can do Legend of Dragoon. Well, here is the proof. This is from the opening cinema, which was rather dark from our footage. As I said, we had to tone down the brightness quite a lot because of the reflections from the big, bright, beautiful R36S screen. But this is absolutely superb, this opening cinema on R36S. We're running the undubbed ROM hack, as you'll hear in a moment, and it's absolutely superb. The in-game cutscenes are also rendered faithfully. I mean, just look at this vast forest expanse with the dragon in the near foreground and the shimmering clouds scudding across the light sun beaming in. Absolutely beautiful. And when you get into the game proper and you meet our hero Dart, the graphical fidelity on show here on the R36S. Stunning. Bear in mind we haven't tweaked anything. This is straight out of the box on the ArkOS operating system that came with the R36S. We haven't tweaked any settings or gone into any standalone emulators. The performance here is fantastic, and that's something that can't be said for something like the Mii U Mini Plus. We got one of those recently. We're very disappointed. We tried the Final Fantasy III opening music test on it, and it was skipping and juddering all over the place. None of that with the R36S. Our viewer was concerned about the performance of battles in Legend of Dragoon on the R36S, but as you can see it handles them with aplomb. Now, talking of the Mii U Mini Plus, Russ from Retro Game Core said that was his budget option in his video yesterday on various choices that you could take to beat the tariffs and order from Amazon. But yeah, we don't recommend the Mii U Mini Plus, to be honest. We love Russ, but we entirely disagree. The R36S has a much better screen, much better functionality. Yes, the Mii Mini Plus's buttons are slightly better, but other than that, we would go for the R36S every time, and it's about half the price too. Moving on up the ranks, and this R36S came with over 15,000 games, and that was just on the 64GB card option. Let's go for some Saturn. Now, we did videos back in the day on the lengths you've got to go to get Saturn working on the original 2023 R36S. So we had absolutely no hope when we fired up this new R36S in 2025 that we would see anything load. No BIOS, no title screens, and yet we were wonderfully surprised. So this is Shining Force 3 fan translation we're trying to load up here. And yeah, straight in with the BIOS screen and the Sega logos. We were very excited. It did take a while to load up, but then sure enough came the title screen. Now, it's not all sunshine and roses, because things from here did start to get a bit slow and a little bit choppy. But as with all the games we're showing today, we did run this through the default RetroArch emulator. And so you're able to get into the menu and tweak the settings, which we were never able to do back in the day. So that gives us hope that some people much cleverer than us will be able to get Shining Force 3 running at a good steady frame rate, because whilst we could fire it up and the opening cinematic, it didn't have any screen tearing, which it used to do back in the day before we upgraded our old R36S. There's no screen tearing here on the opening video, but it is rather slow. So if the clever clogs in the community can just point everyone towards the correct settings for this ArkOS February 2025 build to get Shining Force 3 up and running in RetroArch, I mean, it's very nearly there, we'd be very grateful. But it just shows how far the R36S has come. This was a non-starter back in 2023 without significant work. And as I say, we've got videos on that. We can put videos in the description below. But we're so nearly there, and this is just out of the box R36S in 2025. Fantastic. And as you may have heard there, yes, the buttons are still quite clicky. That was the start button. So many more games we could choose, but just two more we want to show you. DS does run flawlessly. Absolutely fantastic on the R36S, and you can play those single screen games like Mario Kart DS quite happily. The colours really pop, and it's a superb, sublime, fast-paced racer with no dips at all in performance. The default emulator is drastic, and that's superb, as are all the default emulators on the R36S in 2025, means you can save your states and so on. And just to show you that we're not a complete mug at games, except for RPGs, let's have a little quick look at how I got on here. My stepbrother sometimes watches these videos, and he and I are quite competitive, and I don't want him to think I'm a complete mug when it comes to anything except RPGs. So DS, another winner out of the box, a resounding success for the R36S in 2025. Now for N64, there's one game I do like to test, and that is Wave Race 64. And was fearing the worst when I fired this one up. Very choppy, if you'll excuse the pun, at the start, with a lot of sound dips and screen tearing. But persevered with it, and amazingly the game settled down and then ran a flawless race, as you'll see. Here comes that screen tearing. Very ouch. And a few stutters here, but just watch how the game kicks into gear. Truly phenomenal on the R36S in 2025. Maximum power indeed. There's no doubt that the February 2025 ArkOS build on this R36S gives the device maximum power. And I'm pretty sure if you get one, you'll be feeling exactly like this too. And of course, the greatness of the out-of-the-box R36S experience in 2025 reveals itself when you press Select and X together, and you get this wonderful menu where you can save your states. Absolutely brilliant for a Nintendo 64 game on such a cheap product. Yeah, a bit of screen tearing at the start, but it soon settled down, and it just can't be beaten in this price range, the R36S. Squeezes every last ounce out of the RK3326 chip inside it. Brilliant. And what about those pesky tariffs? Well, they're going to hit the high-end devices the most, but we ran the numbers, and an R36S should cost you about $49 delivered, and that is still a fantastic value. And remember, it's all out-of-the-box goodness, pick-up and playability, perfection. No need to tinker, no need to upgrade that OS unless you're desperately trying to get some Saturn going. If you have an R36S already and you want to check whether it's real or fake, then tap on the video above, and all that remains to be said as I stumble over my words at the end of a long day is many thanks for watching, really appreciate it. Do give us a like and subscribe if you can. Take care, all the best, and happy handheld gaming. Bye bye.